Hey y'all, hey, welcome to Cutting Up with the Crawfords. We are back with another episode, and today we are going to be cutting up marriage. Listen, y'all, this may very well be part one of several parts. You already know this guy, Derek, my lovely husband of 20 years.
Lovely? Do we call men lovely?
I do.
Okay.
I call you lovely.
Okay.
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 All right, so we're going to be talking about
Lovely.
forgiveness. Yes, lovely. Forgiveness is lovely also, isn't it?
Forgiveness is lovely.
And communication. Communication is lovely.
Communication is really lovely. It's loving to have good communication.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about that. And I'm excited, y'all.
I've always had great communication. Maybe not.
Cricket. Blank stare.
You've always had great communication.
I have not.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
We are on the same page. I have not always had great communication, but however, I am learning to communicate better. I think we are over the process of our marriage. And yeah, all right, let's get into it, y'all.
Can we thank everybody for watching? And
Yeah, y'all just be supporting us.
can you share,
Oh,
tell other people about it?
please, please, please.
All right.
Please,
Yeah.
please. And I'll place all of our handles at the end of this video. So thank you.
I just want to become popular through a podcast. I don't really want people to hear the information and get it and go, oh yeah, this is great information. I just want to become famous. No, I'm just kidding. Like and share so other people can
Help us, Father.
use this information to help themselves. I don't know what I want to say there.
Their marriage.
Help their marriage. Well, I'm talking about, last one was a great podcast with Dwayne, and
Yeah.
he was talking about being a student athlete, which I thought was amazing. Share that one.
Yeah. And then the one before that was me and Deja.
Yeah,
talking about
great.
mother-daughter relationship.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Again, amazing. Y'all are amazing.
You're so silly. All right, y'all. Marriage. Let's give y'all a little background on us. We have been married for 20 years.
20 years.
We have been dating for a bazillion years now. We met in 1995. When we met, Derek was working for
Foot Locker.
Foot Locker. Yes.
Shout out Foot Locker.
Yes. He was giving me all the deals, discounts. Then he started buying my shoes, and that's a whole nother thing we can get into.
But I had swag if I could pull you in a striped shirt and some polyester pants.
True story. So it was not the communication then. It was the outfit. Okay.
Or the shoes. You had to have fly shoes.
The shoes. I had.
You had to have fly shoes.
So back in the day, in 1995, what shoes was I buying? Reebok Classic.
Reebok Classic.
Listen, y'all, I would not.
Pains me to buy a pair of Reeboks. But
Why?
I've never liked Reeboks. Guess I'll never get a Reebok deal. But
Right. You just closed that door for all of us. Reebok Classics, y'all, I would never, very rarely would I clean them. Why? Because I got a fresh new pair. I was like, I'm not going to clean these shoes. I'm going to get a new pair. Anyway, this brother helped my feet.
look
They
like
fly.
They fly. Them blue New Balance.
I remember those. I feel like I took
544.
my senior picture in those. Side note, this is a senior picture right here of me.
Can they see it?
Can y'all see that? That was me. That was your girl. Marriage. Let's talk about communication.
Well, you was going back with married 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. We did not know how to communicate, not effectively. We were communicating loudly, angrily with one another, and we didn't know about forgiveness at that time either. What was our communication like years ago?
I don't know. I mean, I think about that time when we got married or dating, I was working a lot. So what was our communication like? I think first of all, I didn't know you were an introvert.
Yeah.
So
Was and still am.
well, yes, still am and still am. I don't know which.
Still are.
Still are. Yes. English class. Sorry, Mrs. Childs.
English teacher.
Yes. But I don't think that we knew what communication was, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It was we knew how to conversate, but me not knowing you were an introvert, then I didn't know that that you needed to recharge.
Yeah.
And you hear all the things when you were in church or these things on the radio about, hey, you have to effectively communicate with your wife and have a conversation. And when you're driving, and there'd be times where I felt shame and guilt because we would be in the car and you wouldn't be saying anything, and me not knowing you're recharging or you just needed downtime. I'm thinking, oh, I can't effectively even talk with my wife in the car. So there was times where I felt shame and guilt because of that. And, how old was I when we got married? 20?
I was 24.
20 years ago, so I would have been 26.
Yeah.
Yeah, 26. So as a, 24, 25, 26-year-old male, I'm thinking I can't even effectively carry a conversation with my wife. There's other times where, we'd have great conversations.
Oh, we'd be vibing.
But then there was times not knowing your personality that would happen. So learning your personality, and we probably didn't know or even hear the word introvert until maybe like 2013.
So
that's like 10 years after. That's like 10 years into our marriage.
Yeah, I didn't understand who I was, so I believe that it was challenging for me to effectively communicate. And once I started to understand that, it put a spin on our marriage, and I was able to articulate who I am, the things that I like, the things that I don't like, how I process, whether it's outward or internal. And I pretty much am an outward processor, so I do communicate in that regard.
But in outward processing, I would think that you were always complaining.
Yes. So that was a big thing early on in our marriage, that my processing style was, I have to just spit it all out. I need to say everything that I'm thinking, and he has to know. So as soon as he would come home, that's what I would go to. And he was feeling as though I was complaining about everything. And it wasn't until you told me that where I was like, yo, I'm not complaining.
Your outward process.
Yeah, I just got to get these things out now.
But then in male mode, I go in and try to fix it mode.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, no, you're processing and trying to learn or trying to talk out loud what's going on.
Yeah. I didn't need you to fix it. I just needed you to listen.
But then I go in to fix it and not listening, then that created a whole communication barrier. I think like step one of communication is know yourself and your personality. Are you extrovert or introvert? Are you both? Do you have times where, and then how do you process? I think we always have to remember that. I think I'm even becoming more of an outward processor, and knowing,
I like it.
Knowing, but again, if you outward process, a lot of the negative things can come outside your brain or come out verbally, and you have to, you're not complaining here. Let me just walk through this together. So knowing your personality and knowing how you process stuff
is helpful.
Yeah, you need to know. I need to know about ourselves, and then we need to know for our spouse how we go through all that.
Yeah. Communication is definitely a challenge. Learning how I have to present things to him, always in a loving way, and always making sure that he knows my heart and knows my motive. Trying not to talk at him, because let's talk about that. So you would say sometimes I talk at you, or I would talk at the kids, and you used to say that a lot in the past, and I haven't heard it as much lately. So yay, I'm making progress. And I think that a part of the way that we communicate as adults is how we grew up, right? Like what we witnessed, what we saw, not saying good or bad.
Right.
It's just what we were around. And sometimes you have to unlearn some of those things, right? To be different for your spouse in order for your spouse to receive what you're saying in love, right? We'll talk to the people about how I would communicate and how it seemed as though I was like talking at you.
It was like, so it'd be like coming home and your mom or dad's telling you, oh, this is what you did wrong, right? And so so you were just like talking at me instead of saying, hey, this is, I was like, well, I don't need another mother. I want a wife. Mm-hmm. And I think that was something that we had to learn and work through. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, it could have started with me and my communication, right? I could have been like, my communication might have been like a father figure instead of a husband. And it can create a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So I think as we're talking about communication and how you effectively communicate, I think the way we communicate is important, but we have to communicate, right? We have to talk. I think the thing that was always the funniest and what we always go back and laugh about is that the times that you go, I wanted you to do something, but you didn't do it. I'm just like, well, why didn't you just tell me to do it, right? I watch ESPN, but I don't have ESP, so
yeah.
That was that, and that's kind of like, you'll see lots of memes out there where women always, why did.
Yeah, I think for me, I wanted him to be able to read my mind, to know what to say and what to do at all times, and it didn't work out like that. I don't know where I got that from, like who modeled that or who.
I think it's ingrained in y'all as women.
You think so?
Yeah. Just like we want to be fixers.
Yeah,
y'all y'all might be expecting. Now, I'm sure somebody will come out and go, no, that's not it. But we're just saying that, having fun, guys.
Yeah, but I do think that
or there's a notion that, hey, we've been together this long, you should know me.
Yeah, so I felt that. I feel that also. But I will say that now you do know me.
Yeah. Well, of course. We've been together 20 years. There's lots of things that,
You do know me now. And our communication is far better than when we first got together. If you think of Derek working for the NFL team and just really aggressive, and job was very demanding. And I believe that he carried that home with him.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, nobody was putting words to anxiety, right? Especially not in Black culture. Black culture just thinks, oh, it's your nerves. It's your nerves. That's why you're acting like this. No, really, this is anxiety. And so if you are in that environment 24/7 and demanding and aggressive and just anxiety driven, you're going to carry that home with you.
Everything was revolved around wins and losses.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
So he carried that home, and
they thinking right now, well, the Redskins didn't win a lot. No wonder you was saying them.
They didn't.
We
This is not a podcast about the Redskins.
Okay.
And actually, they were the Redskins, and now they're the Commanders.
Yes, we know. Good job.
They were the football team. Anyway, I digress. Yeah. So
the football team.
Our communication was just not good. And present day, we still have some issues with communication, but it's for sure a lot better than what it used to be. What I would tell him when we would communicate was, I'm so sensitive, y'all. Sensitive is one thing. Number two is I get offended easy. So I don't know if that's because I'm sensitive or what, but he would say things and I know his heart, but it would still feel like he was breaking me into small little pieces. Or how somebody says something and you're emotional or you get offended and you get this knot in your throat. That's how I would feel. But I didn't know how to articulate that because my communication was not good. I thought that communicating meant, check this out, I thought that conflict equaled combat. Mm-hmm. I thought that me saying something to him meant that we were going to fight. I thought that I had to be a people pleaser because I didn't want to offend him. And also I didn't want to be offended, right? So I didn't say anything. And I'm learning more and more about myself through therapy. Like I was like quiet quitting, quiet quitting my husband. I think that shutting down is a form of gaslighting. And that's how I was communicating. I wasn't saying anything for a while. And that made me harbor resentment and bitterness towards my husband. And it just wasn't healthy. And honestly, y'all, this goes into the unforgiveness, that because I was so hurt by the ways that I was communicated by him, the ways that he communicated to me, and also the ways that I grew up and other people communicated to me, I took this all out on him. So there was a lot of unforgiveness that I carried with me to my adult life, into our marriage, into our children, right? Because they are modeling how we communicate.
Right.
They're modeling the things that they saw on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Let me just tell y'all, they need therapy. They in therapy.
They gonna need therapy because of what we did to them.
Yes. Really long therapy.
We laugh, but it's true, because we're broken, and we can take that brokenness to them. But the good thing is that we do believe in therapy.
Yeah.
We have been get marriage counseling.
Yeah.
They have seen changes in our communication, and we can start to show and model that and break generational curses of bad communication and help them with their communication and their future, with their future spouses and friends.
Yeah, that's good.
Because effective communication goes to with our friends and the people around us.
So your spouse, your family, your friends, your job, everything. Like this is something good that everyone needs to learn. And I'm proud of you for how you have.
I think it's both of us. I would say you pushed me to go to therapy, and not knowing that I had anxiety. Again, the church has been again, just pray more and have more faith has always been the line.
Yeah.
And, once I went to therapy, then we started doing marriage therapy. We really started learning how to effectively communicate through therapy and talking it out and really seeing what do you need from me? What do I need from you?
Yeah.
That's like the antithesis of communication. How do you use that word, right?
I don't even know what that word means. I'll put the definition under here because I don't know.
I don't even know how to spell it.
Yeah, therapy and helping us communicate. I remember, you were totally against therapy, and then you got in therapy, and then we started doing therapy together. And it's funny because people would ask or they would make a comment like, "You and Derek go to the same therapist?" And we would say, "Yes, because we don't have anything to hide."
Right.
And at that time, it was like,
I've seen people pin their therapist against their spouse's therapist. Well, my therapist said this. Yeah, my therapist said this. Now, we can't do that. It's like, our therapist said.
Because the good thing, the great thing, honestly, about having the same therapist and doing marriage counseling with the same therapist is that my therapist is able to say, "Hey, Dari, I know Derek's heart. I know that, he has a lot going on. Maybe this is why he said this. Like, I just talked to him about these things," or blah, blah, blah. And that's been extremely helpful to where our therapist is not just automatically on our side and only hearing our side.
Right.
She's able to hear both of us.
Yeah, she processes the information that she's given and is able to go, I think this is what's going on.
Yeah.
You're reading into this, or you're putting tone to text.
Yeah. That's
great Key and Peele.
That one is. That's funny.
You're the bomb. Oh, I'm the bomb.
That's true. I am the bomb, though.
You are the bomb.
But that is really great. That has been really great for us.
Yep.
To go through that. Let's talk about, and let me just tell y'all that our communication is still a work in progress.
Amen.
Okay? It is, we are not where we desire to be. We still fall short.
Well, like just the other day, you said something to me and you went, let me reword that. Let me rewind. Like,
yes. So now I think that's...
What are you going to do about it?
I think that's where the growth has come into play, is that when I say things, like I hear it as it's coming out. And I'm like, oh, man, that don't sound right. Okay, let me take that back.
Yeah.
This is what I meant, babe, because I want to make sure that I don't hurt his heart, right? I want to, okay.
Stop.
So I want to make sure that I don't hurt his heart and that he's able to hear my heart. So I believe that that's the growth where we're like, okay, hold on, Dari. I'm calling my own self out. This didn't sound right. Like, how would I feel if you or somebody said that to me? That didn't sound right. It didn't feel right. Let me reword this because that was not my intent. That's good. I did that, didn't I?
You did it.
I did.
You did it. But I think we both realize now, like we even say stuff. I think the hardest part is to admit when we say something wrong and go, this is what I meant. I didn't, right?
Yeah.
And then that spills over into, like you said, the forgiveness part.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I mean, if you go into marriage with great communication and you know everything about the other partner, that means you've had to been with them a really long time before you got married. Well, actually, and already doing pre-marriage counseling and all the things.
Actually, it means that you're lying. You do not effectively communicate. I'm sorry. Really? When you are in a marriage and then you throw little kids in, you throw big kids in, you throw work and
life.
We about to be empty nesters.
People, Dwayne might be coming back.
Yeah, I love Dwayne. I love Deja too, like real bad.
Maybe she might not go to college. Well, she said no.
Then it's gonna be the four of us again.
No.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to effectively.
Am I allowed to bind that in the name of Jesus? That don't really work.
It does not work. Y'all gonna have to pray.
All the charismatic people just clicked off.
It's fine. They'll be back. Yeah. Forgiveness. Let's talk about forgiveness.
Well, I think as we talk about effective communication, we wouldn't be where we are today without forgiveness. We would still be stuck.
Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't have made it to 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And I think we still are forgiving each other for the way we've said stuff in the past, because listen, I ain't perfect. I'm still gonna mess up, even though I'm on the journey of.
You're not perfect. Nobody is.
Of effective communication. Well, I think that's where it starts, where forgiveness starts with knowing that people are people and we're going to mess up. Now, if you are in an abusive relationship and someone keeps doing the same thing over and over again and there's not true repentance for what people have done, that's not what we're talking about here when we're talking about forgiveness. We're talking about two people that are loving, that love one another and are committed to one another. Yeah. What does forgiveness look like in that situation, right?
That's good.
I think we had to say that because some people could say, I got to stick it out with.
Yeah, don't mean that. We are not calling y'all to do that. Nobody is saying you need to stick it out in an abusive relationship and you need to forgive. No.
Yeah. You're ultimately going to have to forgive that person, but doesn't mean you stay with.
You need to leave.
Yeah, doesn't mean you forget either.
Speaking of like just forgiveness and leaving, and I know that there were, because we're going to keep it real with y'all, okay? There were times in our marriage where I didn't forgive and I wanted to leave. And I'm sure you wanted to leave me.
I'd say good go.
You would say good go.
I've said that. Good go.
Yeah. That's what I think. We were broken, and we still are, but we were broken.
Right.
And there were things that, to be perfectly honest, there were things in our marriage that I did that were inappropriate, and I repented and asked for my husband's forgiveness and turned away from it, right? And I think I believe that forgiveness is active. Like, it's just not a one and done. It's I have to remind myself that if he gets upset or if he's anxious and he says something and it comes across like a jerk, right? I have to say, Dari, I've already forgiven him for that. Like, this is, let's not lash out and be offended because he said something. Let's come together and say, hey, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
What's really going on? What? Talk to me about your day.
You need a hug.
You need a hug. You need a hug because I'll be like,
Hugs are magical, y'all.
they are. We need to hug it out. We need a kiss. Oh, yeah. So I think that part changed in our communication. Did I just say that
I
part?
didn't say that part.
That changed in our communication and the forgiveness.
Right. So so I think people, what is forgive? I mean, you've given what forgiveness is.
Mm-hmm.
I think, so what does that look like in everyday marriage for where we are today? Like, I think it's a key element into a long-lasting relationship, whether it's friends or marriage.
Yeah.
I mean, the person closest to you is going to
push all your buttons.
Is likely, I mean, you're around that person the most. We're going to have to ask for forgiveness, and we're going to have to forgive one another. I think the first step is sometimes a person needs to come and ask for forgiveness and truly say that they're sorry for what they did.
Yeah. So forgiveness for me. So let me tell you about this really quick.
Oh, Lord. Where are we going?
Our kids.
Oh, okay.
So having to ask for, parents, like we do things, we say things to our children, right? And we know that a lot of times it's offensive. But having to go back and ask them for their forgiveness because you sinned against them is...
Yeah. It's a great model.
Man, talk about just breaking your heart. You just crying. That's difficult, but it's needed. And like you said, it's a great model.
Yeah.
And I just...
It's a great model in humility.
Yeah. I believe that it's needed in your marriage, like you said, family, friends, everything, at work.
Is this a spiritual? Do we have to bring Jesus and the Bible into it for it to actually be an effective podcast?
Well, ultimately, I want people to see Jesus in us.
Yeah.
And so we don't have to say that we are believers, even though we are. They should be able to see that in us.
Right.
So,
but that's where the forgiveness comes from and modeled ultimately.
Yes, because we know that we should forgive. We are called to forgive other people because we have been forgiven much.
Yeah.
That is the thing. Where
sin abounds, grace abounds much.
Yes. But if you think about how people always want forgiveness, but they don't want to give it.
Yeah.
I want people to forgive me for the sins that I committed. But why is it so difficult for me to forgive other people?
Yeah.
That's a question I got to ask myself. That's a question you got to ask yourself. Why is it so hard to forgive other people? But when we're on the receiving end, we like, I don't know why she ain't forgive me. I said I was sorry.
I think if you go back to communication, most of the times we need to be forgiven because of miscommunication.
Yeah.
It might just be a small misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And how many times have small misunderstandings have led to big breakups, big divorces?
Oh, it'll escalate real quick.
Friendship breakups.
For sure.
Breakups in the church.
Yeah.
And I think all we have to do is just sometimes just truly humble ourselves.
For sure. That's that pride. That's that pride that comes in because we want to control it. We want to be on the receiving end.
But Christ humbled himself to the point of going to the cross so that we could be forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
We should be so hard. It's not hard, but we make it so hard to just humble ourselves, to ask for forgiveness, or even to point out to other people, hey, I feel like you sinned against me. Mm-hmm. And when you go to them like that, you still want their forgiveness. And a lot of times, but they're not hearing, they get offended and then it never happens.
Yeah, that's not the norm. People don't want to hear that they may need to forgive. They want to hear like, hey, I forgive you.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
That's all they get.
Oh, thanks. That's all they get?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Instead of, it's like the first time you said you love me and I said, thank you.
Blank stare.
Do you forgive me for that?
Yes, I do. Because I know you love me. So talk to the people about anything else you want to add on forgiveness and communication. How How was it like? Do you feel like there are people out there or someone out there that needs to hear your forgiveness?
Mine personally? Oh, I'm sure there is.
There's someone out there that needs to hear, like, hey, this is what I did. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Is there someone that needs to hear that?
I am sure there is. I'm sure I've offended people with my words, my actions, my deeds. Again, being human, I think we've all done that. Like as you said, we've sinned against our kids. We probably have done stuff to our close friends, and I think it's all been miscommunication, or we felt some type of way about something that just probably was something so small and minor that it's like, but bro, life is too short. I would love to work through it with everybody, because I think there's a part of anxiety that lies in relationships that aren't fully healed. Yeah. Because you do. I mean, if everyone that's come into my life, I've truly cared about.
For sure, yeah.
Right. And we know some people are only here for a season, or people move away, or in and out, or you were at a job. Yeah. And there's times where I knew I did something, and it was like a year and a half later, I went back and forgave.
What did that feel like?
And they received it, and they said, I forgave you for that a long time ago. I remember the biggest time that the biggest butt chewing I ever got was from Coach Gibbs.
Not from me?
No.
Okay.
No, it was from Coach Gibbs.
I'll fix that.
So, a lot of people know I've worked for Coach Gibbs. It'll be 20 years come January that I've been around Coach Gibbs in some form or fashion. First year working for him, he's Hall of Fame coach. I'm 26 years old. I'm pretty young, and biggest butt chewing I've ever got in my life. Not one cuss word said.
I feel like I remember this.
No, you I think you heard it because it was over the phone.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was miscommunication, and I felt like so small. And then the next day at work, he came and found me. I'm 26. He's a Hall of Fame coach already. He comes and apologizes to me. And I still I hadn't fully forgiven him, but I accepted his apology, and it took some time to build back up. And then I remember it was 2006. So that happened in 2004. This was 2006, and we are about to play the Dallas Cowboys. We're at home. Yeah. Before the game, we're at FedEx Field, and Coach is about to go into his office. And usually before the game, it's no small talk. It's all focused on the game because, about winning. Got to beat and especially when it's the Cowboys. Got to beat the Cowboys. And so he called me in his office. He said he shut the door. So I thought he was going to have me do like I don't know. He always seemed like he tried, like, I need something to obscure a stat, or find this out, or find that out, or do whatever. Like, I was always you always put me on some mission, and I'd only have I'd be working against the clock. I'd have 5-10 minutes to finish. Get it done. And every time I mean, by God's grace, I got it. I got whatever done. Yeah. But he called me in the office. He shut the door. He goes, "Hey, you remember a few years ago when I yelled at you?" I was like, "Oh yeah, Coach. I remember. I remember that, bro." I like you said, you don't forget. You can forgive. He just said, "Hey man, you always have my back. I just hope you forgive me." And I said, "I did, Coach. I have." Right. And again, this is game day. And if you know the intensity of game day and what goes around it, what goes all into playing on Sunday, to have that happen at that time, at that moment, was truly him asking forgiveness and repenting from that day. And but it was also, it wasn't a, well, you did this, I'm done type of thing. It was us both rebuilding the or building on our relationship, because we didn't really know each other at the time because it was so new. And then, like I said, you fast forward, this is 18 years later, right? I'm still doing stuff with Coach Gibbs' ministry and around him, and someone that loves our kids, and just a great family. So that, to me, that was like just the great model of him reflecting Christ and Christ's forgiveness to us for all that we've done. He reflected that to me.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine how that felt in that time.
So when it happened, when I got yelled at,
Yeah, I remember that.
It felt, this tiny, but to have that conversation 2 years later with that forgiveness, it was so freeing.
Yes.
And not freeing in the sense that I was right, someone else was wrong. It was freeing in the sense that he knew I forgave him. And it was freeing in the sense that our relationship had grown so much over the years that I do have his back still to this day. So it was by God's grace that we were able to show that model of being forgiveness and accepting the forgiveness. I think that's sometimes hard for us if you want to take it back to the gospel. It's like, oh, this guy did this on the cross for our sins. We have to humble ourselves to accept the gift that he has given us, because a lot of times we want to save ourselves, but no, there's nothing that we can do to be saved except to accept what Christ has done. Yeah. Sorry, I went on a long story there.
We like your stories. I mean, we said this in episode 1. You got a lot of things.
I got a lot of things to say.
That's what you said. So we just gonna follow through with it.
Okay.
It's cool.
Hopefully y'all still with me. You still with us?
They're still here.
Okay, great.
Anything else you want to add?
If I have offended y'all, guys, I'm truly apologizing. I'm sorry.
Same.
And for all my future stuff, I'm apologizing right now.
I'm gonna say, you remember that day?
You got somewhere you gotta be?
And then you're gonna say, you remember that day they gave you like a blanket of apology?
Yeah.
And I'll say, I remember that day that I just gave you a blanket of forgiveness. I do forgive you. Yeah. I love you, babe.
Love you too. We got a long way to go. We got to continue to work on.
We have come a long way, and we have a long way to go.
Yeah. Once we say we've arrived, then it's just something new that we'll have to.
Yeah.
So it's something that we got to continue to work on. Just like working out or whatever, you got to continue to work those muscles. We got to continue to work those muscles of communication and forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. So talk to me about, yes, I said we were going to cover 2 things, but I feel led to talk about some other things also that pertain to marriage. So talk to me about, we talked about communication with us being married. What does marriage life look for you after Deja has graduated? Like so this is kind of still communication, right? Like we're going to have to be communicating a lot more in the sense of this house is going to be super quiet.
It's already quiet.
It is quiet. And everybody does say that. But we're going to have to communicate more because we're not going to have this little girl saying things 24/7. So what will our communication look like then? Or what are you desiring for our communication to be like then? Because I can imagine that it's going to be different. We will not be communicating about, okay, we got to get Deja to volleyball practice, or we got to pick her up from volleyball, or we got to do this, or we got to do that. Like, it's going to be the 2 of us in here. Yeah, we don't have anyone like watching us how we communicate. Like, are we going to stay on the same path that we're on now with our communication?
I hope so. I would think so. If not, then it's just going to be a really, really quiet house with you on one end of the house and me on the other end.
I'm going to get bored, so we're going to have to talk.
Yes. When you get recharged, you got some things to say.
I do. We're going to have to talk. We're going to have to talk it out.
You're going to probably go to sleep after this podcast. I'm done. Talk so much. I'm an introvert. Let me go recharge. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but my hope is that we keep going to therapy. We keep growing in our communication. Hope and prayer. I think we'll find other things to talk about and communicate about that'll just be different. If we go 20 years, we go 20 more.
And 20 more after that?
Yep.
Lord willing.
Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
I feel like old Black people say that, and you're not old or black, when you say it, and I love you.
My buddy Chris Sifford, he says all that. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
He's black, but he's not old.
It's older than me.
Yeah, but he's not old.
He's not old.
He ain't old.
He got an old soul.
Chris, you're not old.
He got an old soul.
Old soul.
Bishop Sifford.
Yeah, that is what people call him.
Bishop. Yeah.
How
Bishop.
can we just get on this? Okay, reel it in.
Squirrel.
Listen, we love y'all. Thank y'all for listening. Thank you to everyone that gave us questions or topics or things that they wanted to hear about. There was no way we could cover everything.
We'll get to it. It's part 2, part 3, part 4.
Yes, this is part 1. We'll get to other topics also. But I know one person that said about communication on date night and how married couples should challenge themselves to have a date night.
Yep.
And also, while you were on that date night, don't talk about bills. Don't talk about kids.
Can you pay my bills? Can you
I
pay
can't.
my bill?
I'll be paying your bill every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't talk about bills. Don't talk about kids. Don't talk about work. Talk about y'all. Talk about what y'all like. Communicate that. And that is difficult sometimes, being married and having little kids, big kids,
All the kids.
no kids.
But enjoy your kids at the age that
Yes, enjoy them.
because they grow up fast.
They do. But also have date night and don't talk about them.
Yep.
But we love y'all and we thank y'all for always listening and supporting us. You know, you can see this podcast on YouTube. You can watch. You can listen on all the podcast channels. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Amazon Music. We're on
Wherever.
wherever podcasts.
Like,
are.
listen,
We are
subscribe.
there. Yes. Yes, yes. And
Share.
y'all share.
Tell the world.
All right. Until next time. Bye.